So thank you so much for this inspiring music. We come now to the presentation of our candidates for presidency. As you all know, we will have 2 women candidates and 2 men candidates. So I will give the floor to each of them very shortly, because unfortunately we have to cope with the timetable. But I will tell you there is tomorrow a very good opportunity to deepen the points that we raise just very shortly tonight, because there is a session devoted to the programs of the candidates. So our first speaker will be Airi Alina Alastair. Please, Airi Alina.
Thank you very much, Carmen. I'm really honored and grateful to be here, and my warmest greetings to ESA President, to the local organizing committee, to the executive committee, and also to the colleagues who are still sitting here. And even though the time is very limited, I will say a few words about myself, starting from the beginning of my career. I did my first degrees in the Estonian Institute of Humanities, and I actually first chose philosophy, but changed my subject during the studies. I could see that the society around me was changing rapidly, and learning theories and methodologies to grasp this change became me really attractive. I think in a way becoming sociologist in an Eastern European context has been incredibly thrilling experience. On the other hand, it was demanding. Even though sociology in a way existed in Eastern Europe, it was not really comparable to Western sociology, especially regarding theory. So, in the 90s, we very much started again from the beginning and relied mostly on Western scholarship. That might have been the only choice available in the beginning of 90s, but that has been increasingly debated by the next generation of Eastern European social scientists. So, drawing from this experience, I have identified one of the areas of development for ESA, the encouragement and recognition of different theoretical and methodological approaches. Piotr Stjomka, during his lecture in the conference of Estonian social scientists in Tallinn, stressed that our aim is not to build up Eastern European sociology. And this is a statement I completely agree. I do not mean here that, that there would be any need to antagonistic labels. However, that does not mean that in all countries we should analyze our societies from the perspective of big theories of the European Centre only. We should still aim to build up explanations that consider context-specific ideas. And also this topic might be rather relevant to Eastern Europe. It's also important for other countries outside familiar European Centre, making it integral for many, perhaps most of our members. During my career as sociologist, I have mostly identified myself as a youth researcher. I became interested on this topic when I was young myself, but for some reason I never lost this interest. And because of this focus and the network where I belong, I'm especially familiar with the problem young people face today. And in our society, what is in crisis, as is probably known to many of you, young people tend to have most difficult situation. Even younger researchers, I would say, tend to face many similar problems common among younger generation in general, being part of precariat and coping with uncertainties about the future. So that might be the reason I see strongly the necessity not only to focus on academic research, but also to have impact on society. And even so, I think it will have been kind of, the same similar kind of willingness has been evident during our plenary today. I also know that sometimes academics are a little bit reluctant to this cooperation with actors from public or private sphere, because maybe they have had some experience of what can be the one-sided process, or they are scared of change of academic institutions according to the rules of business or policy. However, I think we should aim simultaneously to maintain the integrity of academic scholarship and impact on society through cooperation with different organizations. And as I have written in the program, to include these different parties, both ESA summer schools and the conferences. We should aim impact policy as well as public discussions, both European as well as national level. And regarding the latter, we should not undermine the importance of publications in local languages. That would be also one of the alternatives to the dominance of scientometrics within our profession. ESA should acknowledge the quality of European sociology as and I will end, I will skip some of the part and just say that everybody who is interested about my program could read it, maybe the written version where I have explained my ideas a little bit more in detail, but I still would like to end my talk with a statement, but that's actually the starting point in my written program, that there is already a lot of done by previous presidents and executive committees, and in many ways we just have to continue with similar activities, such as improving management, promoting equal opportunities, fostering existing cooperation, and participating in debates on science policy. Thank you.
Our second speaker is Elena Danilova.
Dear colleagues, dear friends, as perhaps you know, I am running not for the first time, for the presidency and for executive. I have an experience of being member of executive for two terms, and also I'm a chair of a newly established research network which is called East and West, Sociology of Transformation, East and West, and mostly focused on sociology in Eastern Europe, Eastern European countries. So it might be, it might be strange. I'm working in the Institute of Sociology in Moscow, and I'm from Russia, and it might be strange why in such sort of sophisticated, complicated context somebody can vote for the presidency of the European Sociological Association. By this, I want just to say that Russia is a part of Europe still. And we have a lot to think about, and we have a lot to share. And also, I really like sociology. I like sociology. I like to teach sociology because it opens somehow your mind and minds of your students and colleagues, and these debates are very helpful. So, in each conference, we are, ESA is very good and sensitive in defining particular debate, particular context, particular think of the particular context, and in the title of the conference, at least 3 of them were turbulence, then we were in crisis, and today we are in sort of context, we are finding or remembering again our tool, sociological imagination, and we're looking at what we must look. This is social inequality and social differences. So, we are always facing social problems, and there are a list of these problems are endless. And from each conference, from one to another conference, it might be different, but still, do sociology or can sociology do something in healing society, in healing spiritual, cultural, political context? I think at least he can try, sociology can try and must, because it has distinctive tools like sociological imagination, like ground vision of living in a society, living in a collective, like critical thinking and approach, which could help us to deconstruct and to help to deconstruct the ideological stereotypes we are living in, we are using in everyday lives, which help us to look beyond what we see on the surface. So, in this sense, as a president, I would like to stress that sociology can not only promoting discourses in the response to public and political agenda, but also give something to create this agenda, give something to formulate or reformulate particular policies, mechanism or whatever. And it has another very good advantage, it has humanist perspective. So this kind of advantages and tools of sociology, distinctive tool of sociology, I would like to be in the focus of as activities, in the focus of its agenda, and in the focus of the academic debates, research, and universities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So our third speaker is Hans-Peter Müller.
Yeah, thank you very much. Dear colleagues, it's a great pleasure to be able to present briefly today in more in an elaborative manner tomorrow the program of the candidates. I will shortly say something about my person because I'm sure that many of you don't know me, and then turn to the program. I'm an economist by training, but switched very early on into sociology because I have the feeling that maybe social scientists do not have the right answers, but at least they try to pose the right questions. In sociology, I specialized particularly in classical modern social theory, social inequality, and the sociology of culture. I'm a chief editor of a journal called Berliner Journal für Soziologie, which some of you may know, but it's in German, unfortunately. We edit book series. One of them is on theory and critique, together with Rachel Jägi, a young philosopher from Humboldt University, and Stefan Lessenich, the current president of the German Sociological Association, and a sociologist in Munich. And the next book will be a brand new and much more elaborated translation of C. Wright Mill's The Sociological Imagination, because it strikes us as a very pertinent book, speaking to our times. Now that's maybe enough about the person. Let's turn to the program. I think there are two things to discuss. One is organization, and the other is content. The organization. I mean, you see this here in Prague, and that's a great development. The European Sociological Association is growing, and it's growing fast, and it's very successful. But if such an association grows, it needs, and we see how it works here in Prague, a very good organization. It's a good thing that the ESA Secretariat is now in Paris, has its own office, etc., etc. But I think together we need to enlarge the organization in order to make sure that ESA is fruitfully growing and working well. So far, the organizational point, and the second point now, the substantial point, it's on the professional and intellectual vision and mission of the European Sociological Association. Today, and we heard it while listening to the two speakers, Europe is, after the Second World War, in a deep crisis, and with it, the so-called European model of peace, prosperity, freedom, and solidarity. And I think these are the main values Europe and the European Union stands for. Now, this serious crisis has the capacity to destroy this European model and the European way of life and the contact of life in Europe as well. And I think that the ESA should try to speak with one voice and make its voice heard to prevent this catastrophe from happening. A number of measures may help to increase the visibility of ESA and the impact of ESA in the European public, to take sociological standpoints, sociological perspectives, and maybe even sociological solutions more seriously in the future. I will not delve into them. I have a number of them. I will do that tomorrow because of the time constraints. But let me only say the following, that without, and I remind you of this friendly remark by Pavel Bělobrádek, Europe needs sociology. That's good news for us. Europe needs sociology because without it, without the cultural and social sciences, it is an economic and technocratic machine, unable to win the political support and legitimacy of the European people. A crisis in itself is normal, but what we need to make sure is that the solutions for those crises are not just economic or economistic, but also social, and appeal to those values as I outlined at the beginning. Europe, in my view, is special, and as we see by the many migrants who come to Europe, the hope for the rest of the world. Let us defend our structured cultural diversity against all kinds of monisms from whatever side they come from. That would be my plea. And in this spirit, I would like to take action together with you, the Executive Board, and the research networks. So the President may inspire initiatives, but it is up to us to accomplish the goals together. For this program, I'm ready to engage my powers and international networks in collaboration with you, my dear colleagues. Thank you very much.
So, we come to our last speaker, Frank Welz.
Thank you. I am from Austria, from the Research Network 29 and from the current executive. I'd like to share with you now here my view inside, outside on 4 items. First, I think there are currently two forces at work for us and against sociology. On the one hand, sociology is a very simple thing. It helps to understand the world and at least indirectly improve life. And because of that, so many new incoming students are attracted to us every year. Here, there will be 40–50% students participation in this conference. So I would say, I conclude, sociology is not at all tired, unlike Chef Alexander once wrote. It's not tired, it's alive. So this is very good. But on the other hand, the counterforce, there are 4 well-known things happening. 2 old ones. There is, on the one hand, fragmentation and specialization, unavoidably. Second, all of you know, there is a language divide. We could say here is sitting the English-speaking class in Europe. But beyond that, in recent times, we got, I think, sociology caught a cold. It's partly sick because of 2 new recent diseases. The first disease is austerities, from austerity. There's a kind of paywall between countries in participating of this conference, for instance. And the second, and I think even the worst disease we just caught is evaluitis, this research assessment, and not because it increases competition, but because I think it affects the content of sociology, what we are working on, you know. So I think there are diseases around, so sociology is in a difficult period just now. What can we do? What can I do? 3 regards: administration, social, and intellectual. In administrative regard, I learned as a member of this executive committee what you already know from your friend Foucault, that it's not just knowledge, not just our ideals, my values to implant here. It's how knowledge is organized. It's knowledge and power, as you know very well. I identified 2 issues in the ESA administration. First, you see in this ESA office that people, elected people, are incoming and they start their work from the scratch again and again. I will invest my time and share ideas with people to develop the memory of ESA, to build an archive of knowledge in ESA that it's less dependent on people who are already gone. So develop the memory. Second, looking not inside but outside. We are organizing conferences since 20 years, and we doubled size from 2007 to now. It's a huge thing, and we are doing it, steering it from the headquarters, but we invest a lot of money in this location, that location, and we accumulate a lot of knowledge in this location, that location, the next country. Here we can readjust the power balance between ESA and this the institutions or organizations where we invest the money in. We can make the conference on the one hand less expensive, but also accumulate knowledge in Paris, in our practices, and offer a more stable thing from 2 years to the next 2 years. Not always start from the scratch again and again. This is administration, organization, what I learned in this office from my point of view. Second, the social dimension. As a network coordinator of research network, ESA research network, I learned this is a bottom-up organization. Unlike what some young people think, it's very open and it's a flat, it's no hierarchy. So you should join the business meeting, attend it. It's a bottom-up thing. ESA itself has no life, it only lives in these research networks. So this means first, we have to collaborate with research networks and national associations, of course, but also in external regard, we have to arrange or invite, what we do now in this conference, a PhD forum, because so many people are doing PhD here. And ask for your interest, for your ideas, but not only this, not only say, we exchange ideas, but ESA is able to offer more services than we did before. We can learn from other associations. There are many things in the pipeline which could be offered to our people. For instance, one example, saying fight underrepresentation in ESA. What can we do? We cannot replace the paywall, but we can, for instance, invite a theme in our journal or in our newsletter, and one theme of a big star sociologist, but then invite voices from different regions. So there are some activities on the pipeline we could offer. Last, the dimension all of us love most, the intellectual cognitive core. First, we can spend some time and think more deeply about the conference issues. Which themes are there even without sociology? Which are relevant themes? This is what we like, and we should create debates, invite debates. And second, I would like to introduce, to organize a task force for organizing the voice of sociology, not internally but externally. And I asked the office of Helga Nowotny, the Research Council President, the previous Vienna office, and they told me we have to do 3 things. First, we should learn how our associations are organizing their voice, particularly the natural sciences. Second, we should be less passive, signing petitions. We should develop our voice more actively. And third, the Horizon program in Europe, this new framework program from 2020 on, these people, they don't like that social sciences are so fragmented. We should collaborate with, let's say, economics, anthropology, political science. So introduce a task force for this. Now, I think the most important task force is the task force for the welcome party, and I give the micro to Carmen.
So, thank you to the speakers, and thank you everybody for taking part in this opening plenary. And there is a party now, so time for enjoy, and see you tomorrow.